Fang Chen! I yield! Take Old Dream, she's yours! Just let me fade away!
Fade away? You're a lingering shadow on her legacy. I prefer things clean.
Without me, she has no claim to the throne!
Oh, she will. She'll bear an heir. With my blood, under your name. A perfect illusion.
You bastard! The royal clan will see through it!
They'll accept it. The throne needs her. You lose, Zhuo Yin. Absolutely.
Never! You won't get the satisfaction of ending me!
Fool. She would never stoop so low to agree to such a scheme. But you didn't trust her enough to know that.
The Old Dream Demon Empress's expression was completely impassive, but her words stopped Zhuo Yin cold. You already said that yesterday. Zhuo Yin frowned in suspicion. He had said those exact words to Fang Chen. How did she know about that? But then reality hit him. His pupils shrank as he stared at the Empress standing before him, a terrifying realization dawning in his mind. Why, you're not Old Dream, Zhuo Yin stammered. The Empress raised a finger to her lips and murmured an incantation. A shimmering aura rippled across her skin before pulling back like a retreating tide, retracting entirely into the headdress resting atop her hair. With the illusion shattered, the figure morphed. In her place stood a tall, handsome young man draped in a long black coat. His eyes were dead cold. Fang Chen, Zhuo Yin shrieked, looking as though he had just seen a ghost. An assassination attempt by Fang Chen was his absolute worst nightmare, yet here he was, having been lured right out of the West Sea Palace, blindly following the man into the middle of nowhere. He could scream his lungs out right now, and no one would come to save him. Fang Chen slowly drew his purple blade. It's a shame, he said, his voice void of emotion. You're never going back to the South Sea. You won't get to play the lazy demon emperor, nor will you enjoy the luxuries of the South Sea. You won't get to toy with Old Dream, and you definitely won't be having any children with her. All you'll be is a pile of ash scattered across the ocean waves. Panicking, Zhuo Yin scrambled backward. His foot caught on a rock, and he fell hard on his ass. Fang Chen, let's talk about this. Just hear me out. He pleaded. I'm no longer a threat to you. Why do you have to be so ruthless? Sword in hand, Fang Chen closed the distance with slow, deliberate steps. You're right, you're not a threat, but you disgust me. The thought of Sister Old Dream having to lower herself to be tied to a parasite like you for the rest of her life. It rubs me the wrong way. So wiping you off the face of this earth will give me some peace of mind. Utter terror washed over Zhuo Yin's face. Regret gnawed at his gut. Why did he have to run his mouth and provoke Fang Chen earlier? He desperately groveled. Fang Chen, please, just let me go. I'll give Old Dream to you. She can be a woman from now on. You can do whatever you want with her. I'm begging you. Fang Chen's murderous intent only grew colder. If it was him today, would Zhuo Yin just as easily trade Old Dream to another powerhouse tomorrow? Sister Old Dream must have been cursed for 8 lifetimes to end up with a piece of trash like you. You belong in the dirt, turn to ash and rot with the mud. He raised his purple blade high into the air. Zhuo Yin was paralyzed with fear. Wait, stop, he shrieked. If I die, Old Dream will lose her legitimate claim to rule as the South Sea Demon Empress. Have you thought about the consequences? Fang Chen smirked. Who said anything about you dying? You just ran away like a coward. You went into hiding where no one could find you, and you never came back. The Old Dream Demon Empress, fiercely defending the South Sea's legacy despite being abandoned by her husband, who wouldn't respect that. Who wouldn't be in absolute awe of her. What? Fang Chen had already accounted for every single loose end. Zhuo Yin was in full-blown panic mode. But he still had one last card to play. Gritting his teeth, he countered. Then what about the royal bloodline of the South Sea? Without me, how is she supposed to conceive a royal heir? How will the imperial family survive? If you really care about Old Dream's future, you can't kill me. Fang Chen let out an icy, bone-chilling laugh. Oh, don't you worry about that. I can gladly step in and handle that for you. Getting her pregnant with my kid fixes the problem, right? We'll just tell everyone you guys slept together right before you ran away. Everyone will think the baby is yours. It's a flawless plan. Zhuo Yin's eyes nearly bulged out of his skull in fury. Snatching a jagged rock from the dirt, he hurled it straight at Fang Chen. You son of a bitch, he roared. Don't you dare touch my wife. She's only having my child. The royal family will see right through your little scheme. With a casual flick of his wrist, Fang Chen swatted the rock away with his blade. In the next heartbeat, the cold edge of his purple sword was resting against Zhuo Yin's throat. "Who cares if they see through it?" Fang Chen asked coolly. "What does it matter if they know the kid is mine? The South Sea desperately needs her as their demon empress. They literally cannot survive without her. So tell me, do you think they'll expose her on the spot, or do you think they'll swallow their pride and accept the bastard child?" Zhuo Yin let out an agonizing roar of sheer frustration. Deep down, he knew every single word Fang Chen said was true. It was the perfect trap. Fang Chen sneered, leaning in close. "I'm going to take your woman and make her bear my son, and my son will inherit the South Sea Empire that was supposed to belong to your bloodline. And now, I'm going to butcher you with my own 2 hands. You lost, Zhuo Yin. You've lost everything." Boiling with uncontrollable rage, Zhuo Yin screamed like a madman. "You ruthless bastard! Even if I become a vengeful ghost, I will never let you off." Fang Chen raised his blade. "Take a number," he said coldly. "Let me send you to hell first." Suddenly, Zhuo Yin raised his hand and violently swung his palm toward his own skull. "You won't get the satisfaction of killing me." Splat, even though his cultivation was crippled, his physical strength remained. That single, devastating strike shattered his own head like a rotten melon. Brimming with absolute hatred, his lifeless body rigidly crashed to the ground. The cruel smirk immediately faded from Fang Chen's face. His expression completely blank, he sheathed his purple sword and shook his head. "Idiot! Sister Old Dream is way too honorable. Do you really think she'd ever agree to sleep with me and have my kid? If you had even an ounce of trust in her, you wouldn't have fallen for my bluff so easily." He'd said those things specifically to goad Zhuo Yin into taking his own life. It was the cleanest way to tie up loose ends. The rest was easy. Fang Chen carried the corpse out of the deep ocean and up to the surface, where he burned it to ash. He scattered the remains to the wind, keeping only the stealth kun scale found on the body. With the job done, he activated his crown's cloaking effect and slipped back into his room unnoticed. 2 hours later, the West Sea Palace was in total chaos. Even the West Sea Demon Emperor was rattled. "What? Someone posed as you and took Zhuo Yin. Don't worry, Jiumeng. I'll have my guards search the perimeter immediately." Jiumeng's racing heart finally began to steady. She had just gone to the dungeon to fetch Zhuo Yin, only to find that she had already taken him away. As she calmed down, the inconsistencies started to nag at her. Who would bother saving Zhuo Yin? He'd been kicked out of the South Sea and had no value left. Even that manipulative vixen of a fox demon had dumped him without a second thought. And who could have possibly known he was being held in a West Sea dungeon? Furthermore, who knew her recent outfits well enough to mimic her so perfectly and fool the illusion guards? No matter how she looked at it, it had to be someone close to her. Suddenly, a figure flashed through her mind, along with a jarring possibility. A moment later, the stone door to Fang Chen's room was kicked wide open. He bolted upright, looking startled. When he saw it was Jiumeng, he rubbed his eyes, putting on his best just-woke-up act. "Sister Jiumeng, what's with the grand entrance?" Jiumeng walked in with a dark expression. "Was it you? Did you take Zhuo Yin?" Fang Chen looked completely baffled. Who? Zhuo Yin? What happened to him? Jiumeng didn't buy it for a second. She searched every inch of the room, but found nothing out of place. Her face soured. "Did you kill him? He can't die, Fang Chen." Fang Chen held up 2 fingers toward the heavens. "I swear by the heavenly Tao, if I was the one who killed Zhuo Yin, may I be struck by lightning and never reach the Nascent Soul realm. And may I drop dead the moment I step out." Jiumeng cut him off, covering his mouth with her hand, her eyes filled with guilt. "Stop. Don't say another word. I didn't ask you to make a blood oath. What if it actually comes true?" Fang Chen pulled her hand away. "I didn't kill him. So what do I have to fear?" Jiumeng sat on the edge of the bed, looking distressed. "If it wasn't you, then who was it?" Watching her worry, he said softly, "Sister Jiumeng, he was probably just rescued by someone. If you ask me, this is actually better. As long as there's no official news of his death, you can continue to rule as the South Sea consort, can't you?" Jiumeng's brows stayed furrowed. "But what about the lineage? He's the last of the old emperor's bloodline." Fang Chen sighed. "Sister, why are you so obsessed with the old emperor's bloodline? The other royal branches share the same ancestor as the old emperor, right? Why not just find a sharp, capable junior from one of those branches and groom them to take over? As long as the South Sea prospers, does it really matter which specific branch is in charge?" Jiumeng shook her head. "I promised the old emperor." Fang Chen cut her off mid-sentence. The old emperor this, the old emperor that. You treat him with respect, but to him you are nothing but a tool. He even left his son, a talisman, designed to trap and kill you. He wanted the power to dispose of you at any moment, all because he was afraid you'd steal his son's inheritance. Jiumeng bit her lip, her fingers tightening around her dress. The truth was a cold, hard pill to swallow. That father and son were heartless to you. Why do you still care about some old promise? The ones you should care about are the millions of demons in the South Sea. You should be thinking about who will lead them after you're gone. Stop trying to provide an heir for two selfish bastards. Do you get it now? Stupid woman, Fang Chen muttered, giving her forehead a sharp flick. Jiumeng winced and covered her forehead, raising a fist as if to hit him back. But when her hand reached his chest, her fist relaxed into a gentle poke. You little brat, lecturing me now, are you? She teased, a small smile finally breaking through. Fang Chen kept his expression stern. So, are you still going to look for Zhuo Yin? Still want to crawl into his bed and give him children? Jiumeng's face flushed red. She glanced around nervously. You, how can you say such scandalous things? Fang Chen just stared her down, silent and unyielding. After a long silence, she finally let out a heavy sigh under his gaze. She had made her choice. Fine, I won't look for him. Between the old emperor's will and the future of the South Sea, the latter is more important. Then consider it a broken promise. As long as the Southern Sea thrives, a little extra guilt on my conscience is a price I'm willing to pay. Fang Chen exhaled sharply. He'd finally gotten through to the woman. Damn, that wasn't easy. Then, let's notify the West Sea Demon Emperor immediately. No more wasting time. From now on, let Zhuo Yin's legacy die with him. Before long, peace returned to the West Sea. Fang Chen and Empress Dream, Weaver, stood before a coral reef to say their final goodbyes. Fang Chen, thank you. You've been an incredible help in more ways than one. It was no trouble at all. Fang Chen replied, don't mention it, Sister Dream. A trace of lingering regret flickered in her eyes. Then, I suppose this is where we part. Take care of yourself. Fang Chen nodded. You too. Try to take it easy from now on. Don't carry the whole world on your shoulders. Empress Dream Weaver waved her hand, standing still as she watched Fang Chen turn to leave. Suddenly, she noticed the air bubbles surrounding him had vanished. How was he breathing underwater? Did he have a water-warding bead, one of the sea demon tribe's forbidden artifacts? Why swap the bubbles for the bead now? Did it even matter? The effect was the same. Wait, it hit her. To perfectly impersonate her, he needed that bead. Those air bubbles were a dead giveaway that he wasn't a sea demon. Then she remembered how the cunning Zhuo Yin had been lured away. She finally understood his fate. Fang Chen had tricked him into an ambush and finished him off. As for why Zhuo Yin was no longer a threat to Fang Chen, there was no practical reason to go through all that trouble. He did it for her, to settle her problems once and for all. She realized that the moment she'd vented about her dread of taking Zhuo Yin back, Fang Chen had already made his move. She'd thought he was being dismissive when he told her things would work themselves out. In reality, he was working in the shadows to free her from Zhuo Yin, ensuring she could rule the Southern Sea in peace. He had been silently lighting a moonlit path for her, ensuring she'd never have to walk in darkness again. A surge of raw emotion welled up, stinging her eyes with tears. Fang Chen, she called out. He turned around, confused. What? Before he could finish, a blur of pale green filled his vision. Suddenly, her hands were on his cheeks, and a soft, cool sensation bloomed against his lips. Fang Chen froze. It felt like an eternity before Empress Dream Weaver pulled away. A bittersweet smile playing on her lips while tears glistened in her eyes. A deep, heavy regret settled in her heart, if only it were 20 years ago. If only I had met you first. Fang Chen was in shock. The lingering moisture on his lips brought him back to his senses, and he stammered, Sister Dream. She gave a tearful laugh. Just consider this my one moment of pure selfishness. Thank you, little man. Thank you for lighting a candle in my window and showing me there's a whole world out there. She released him and began to step back slowly. Thank you for everything, little brother. With that, she retreated into the distance, eventually fading from view. Calling him Fang Chen was the regret of meeting too late. Calling him little brother was the realization that they could never be more. Fang Chen stood in silence for a long time. With a soft sigh, he turned and began his trek toward the north. Not every flower blooms to bear fruit. Some bloom only to leave behind a trace of fragrance. A single, beautiful page in time to be tucked away in the heart. It was fleeting, but it was real. Days later, Fang Chen finally crossed the border of the West Sea. He poked his head above the water, scanned the horizon for any strange rainbows, and finally hauled himself out. Hovering on his flying sword, he used his spiritual energy to dry his clothes. As the sea breeze hit his face and he tasted the fresh air, he let out a satisfied groan. God, it's good to be back in the real world. No sooner had the words left his mouth than a deafening crack of thunder tore through the sky, slamming into the ocean ahead without warning. The blast was so violent it felt like a firecracker exploding right inside his ear. Sound vanished instantly, replaced by a high-pitched, agonizing ring. The shockwave sent his blood surging. In an instant, he was blasted off his sword and sent crashing back into the sea. Trails of blood began to seep from his ears and nose. Where the lightning had struck, massive waves surged, and the surface was littered with the bodies of dead sea creatures. Fang Chen was reeling. What the hell kind of lightning was that? He was a practitioner of lightning techniques himself, and had commanded bolts of heavenly thunder before. But he had never seen anything this terrifying. Just being near it had caused internal damage. It took him several minutes to recover his senses. Only then did he realize the sky had turned a bruised black, roiling with thick clouds and flickering with erratic electrical surges. Sudden cries of shock echoed from the sky. Two powerful experts from the Nascent Soul realm were gliding through the air, their differing robes mocking them as elites from the Takang prefecture. That's strange. Is someone actually undergoing a heavenly tribulation here? That demonic energy is off the charts. It's likely one of the demon race. Let's move. This tribulation is incredibly violent. I doubt they'll make it out alive. A tribulation, demonic energy, in the North Sea. Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. Please don't be Hai Mei or consort Yunxia. He didn't dare hesitate. Swallowing a rejuvenation pill, he immediately began trailing the two Nascent Soul experts from a safe distance. They weren't moving fast, clearly wary of the stray lightning bolts that could drop from the sky at any second. After 300 miles, a massive wall of lightning came into view. At the edge of the horizon, blue-white bolts cascaded like a torrential downpour, relentlessly hammering a jagged reef in the ocean. The pale, ghostly flashes turned the storm-choked sky into a flickering strobe light of destruction. Deafening roars of thunder boomed like the world was tearing apart, a chaotic symphony of raw power. Even from miles away, Fang Chen's blood boiled and his body shook uncontrollably. A primal, silent terror took hold of his soul. Suddenly, a stray bolt of lightning arced out, striking the water just miles from him. The resulting shockwave and a massive wall of water, surging with destructive energy, slammed into Fang Chen and dragged him under. Cough, he scrambled back to the surface, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He stared at the curtain of lightning in the distance, his eyes wide with fear. Is this the heavenly tribulation? He'd always heard that the Nascent Soul realm tribulation was a death trap, but the concept had never been real to him. Now he finally understood the true power of the world, and exactly what it meant to face certain death. Is this really something a golden core realm martial artist can survive? It was pure madness. He focused his gaze on the reef. Through the onslaught of lightning, he saw a lone figure struggling. Their clothes had been burnt to ash, and their skin was a raw, bloody mess. Not an inch of their body was intact through the shredded muscle. White bone was visible. Finally, the figure broke. Under a bolt of lightning thicker than a man's waist, they collapsed. But the sky showed no mercy. Like a pack of starving tigers, the lightning bolts pounced on the fallen figure. With no strength left to resist, the cultivator was instantly reduced to a charred husk. Their limbs were mangled, looking like a burnt, discarded ragdoll. The thunder continued its roar, seeking to erase every trace of the body from existence. Suddenly, a roar of grief echoed from the distance. A middle-aged man, radiating the overwhelming presence of a demon emperor, threw himself forward. With tears in his eyes, he used his own body to shield the charred remains, his own flesh tearing and blackening under the lightning's bite. It was the North Sea demon emperor. The one facing the tribulation must have been a prince who had reached the peak of his stage and found a rare chance to break through. Fang Chen breathed a small sigh of relief, knowing it wasn't Hai Mei or Yunxia, but the dread remained. This tribulation, it's terrifying. Can they really make it through? If the demon emperor hadn't intervened, that prince would have been reduced to dust. The brutal reality of the 9 out of 10 die risk had never felt more real. Fang Chen, a familiar cry of surprise, called out nearby. He snapped out of it and looked around, but the air around him was empty. Down here, the voice came from right below him. He looked down to see a beautiful woman in her 30s surfacing from the depths. Looking closer, he saw numerous shadows beneath the dark water. Plenty of others were watching the tribulation, but they were all sea demons hiding in the depths. Fang Chen, the lone human floating in the air, was sticking out like a sore thumb. Fang Chen, what are you doing here? Did the Kanglen Demon Emperor actually let you live? The woman swam closer, a hint of relief on her face. It was Mu Ziyu. Fang Chen scoffed. What could that old lizard possibly do to me? Mu Ziyu was happy to see him safe, but his bragging made her roll her eyes. He just left. Why don't you go catch up to him and say hello if you're so tough? So the Kanglen Demon Emperor had been here. He must have sensed the tribulation and come to check if it was one of the mainland demons. He really was keeping a tight leash on anyone trying to reach the Demon Emperor realm. He was even hovering over the North Sea to keep tabs on potential rivals. Fang Chen's worry for consort Yunxia and Hai Mei deepened. Even with their opportunities and the Bodhai pills, success was far from guaranteed. Look at you, so scared you can't even talk. Muzi, you chuckled as she pulled herself further out of the water. Seriously though, why are you here? Fang Chen gave a bitter laugh. I almost got struck by lightning just walking down the road. I had to see what was going on. Muzi, you burst out laughing. No way. We're right here and we're fine, but you got hit from hundreds of miles away. How many fake oaths have you sworn? Is the heavenly Tao finally coming for its karma? Fang Chen rubbed his nose. It really did seem a bit cursed when he thought about it. A single stray bolt of lightning, traveling hundreds of miles, had nearly sniped him right out of the sky. Does this lightning have a mind of its own or what? To make matters worse, the second he broke the surface and sighed about how good it felt to be out, the lightning struck. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being personally targeted. He remembered how he'd just defended the great sun Demon Emperor, and his heart skipped a beat. Holy crap. No way karma works this fast, right? He quickly pressed his hands together in prayer. Ancient saint, I take it back. The great sun Demon Emperor's title is amazing. Perfection. I've learned my lesson. Please, spare me. Now he finally understood what people meant by the unpredictable wrath of the heavens. This is way too intense. Muzi, you watched Fang Chen's desperate praying with a look of pure confusion. You are so weird, she muttered. Whatever. I'm just glad you're okay. I can't stay. I need to head back to the palace. The prince failed his ascension to Demon Emperor. His life is hanging by a thread, and everything is about to descend into chaos. Take care of yourself and get out of the North Sea as soon as you can. Lately, there have been unidentified Nascent Soul cultivators crawling all over the place. It's not safe to be out here alone for long. She turned to dive back into the ocean, but Fang Chen stopped her. Actually, I have business here in the North Sea too. He pointed to his forehead, where the faint glow of a blue flame mark flickered. Muzi, Yu's eyes widened. You're going into the Soul Formation ruins. No wonder you came all the way to the North Sea. But you'll have to wait a while. We don't know if the prince is still alive. If he's dead, the old emperor will be too stricken to even talk about the Soul Formation ruins. Fang Chen thought for a moment. Take me with you. I have some high-grade human healing pills. They might actually help. Muzi, you considered it. All right, follow me. In reality, the North Sea had prepared plenty of healing elixirs in case the break. Ru failed, they didn't exactly need his. But since he was offering, she couldn't just turn him down. Besides, the Emperor might find some comfort in seeing a human come to help. Fang Chen asked, do you have one of those diving bubbles? If I use a water-warding bead in the North Sea, it might raise questions and get you into trouble. A warmth spread through Mu Ziyu's chest. He was actually looking out for her. She tossed him a bubble crystal. You come to my home and I still have to provide the gear. I must have owed you in a past life. Fang Chen chuckled, crushed the crystal, and dove into the ocean, following her toward the palace. Sister Mu, isn't the North Sea currently struggling to deal with those mysterious creatures? Why try to break through now? Fang Chen asked, clearly confused. Between the Soul Formation, ruins creatures attacking, and the threat of the Hell Barons, the Demon Emperor barely had any room to breathe. Yet he had prioritized the prince's advancement, and it clearly felt rushed, as if they hadn't prepared enough. Calling me Sister Mu, as soon as you get what you want. You're so calculating, she teased. Mu Zi, you rolled her eyes, but Fang Chen's question made her expression darken again. She hesitated for a moment before sighing. Since the attempt already happened, I guess it's not a secret anymore. I might as well tell you. You know Bai Chu was taken away by the seal King Kong, right? Fang Chen nodded. He was well aware of that. Our emperor went to take Ying province to ask our backers to demand his release from the White Horse Temple. The temple refused to give him back. Instead, they compensated us with a mysterious spirit spring, claiming it would give our tribe another shot at producing a demon emperor. Fang Chen remained silent. It was hard to say which was more valuable, a kidnapped genius or a guaranteed chance at ascension. Both were vital to the North Sea's future. Not that the North Sea had a choice in the matter. The White Horse Temple only offered compensation as a courtesy to the North Sea's patrons. If the demon emperor had shown up on their doorstep himself, they would have locked him up and thrown away the key. Mu Ziyu's voice sharpened with anger, but word got out. Someone took advantage of the chaos in the North Sea and destroyed that spirit spring. Even though the demon emperor intervened in time, the spiritual essence of the spring, crucial for breakthroughs, was rapidly depleting. Left with no other option, the crown prince, utterly unprepared, was rushed into the trial. And the outcome was just as you witnessed. Hearing this, Fang Chen shook his head subtly. In this world, helping someone achieve the Nascent Soul realm was a challenge that would give even a colossus like Bema Temple a headache. But destroying someone's path to Nascent Soul, that couldn't be easier. No one wants to see your North Sea produce a second demon emperor. You should have been on guard. Mu Ziyu's face was grim. We were maintaining strict vigilance, yet someone still managed to strike with pinpoint accuracy. But if we ever find out who it was, this debt will be paid in full. Investigate? Does he even need to? Fang Chen mused internally. The demon emperor surely knows exactly who it was, he's just pretending not to know. If the North Sea were to produce a second demon emperor, who would be most directly affected? The other three seas and Sanking Mountain. Demon Emperors Yizhu and Jiumeng have been too preoccupied with their own affairs for years. Where would they find the energy to scheme against the North Sea? The West Sea Demon Emperor still needs his son to rely on the North Sea's Soul Formation Realm ruins. Even if he wanted to make a move, he'd surely wait until his son had visited the Soul Formation ruins, right? So the answer was readily apparent. Sanking Mountain. To prevent the North Sea from growing too powerful and breaking free from its shackles, they sent someone to destroy the Divine Spring. Considering the dirty deeds Sanking Mountain had committed in the East and South Seas, this act perfectly aligned with their usual tactics. Soon after, Fang Chen met the North Sea Crown Prince. Fortunately, he was still alive. Unfortunately, he was unrecognizable, charred beyond recognition and riddled with wounds, severely disfigured and incomplete, barely clinging to life. If the North Sea Demon Emperor hadn't intervened at the last moment, his body and soul would have been utterly annihilated. Fang Chen realized even more keenly the preciousness of the heaven, deceiving divine pearl. If the North Sea Crown Prince had possessed such a pearl, he could have simply paused his tribulation if he sensed things going awry, and resumed once fully prepared. Demon Emperor, this is Fang Chen of the human race, specifically here to visit the Crown Prince. Mu Ziyu announced, leading Fang Chen forward. Guarding the bedside, the North Sea Demon Emperor disregarded his own blood, soaked appearance, and his regal image. A pair of eyes, filled with self-reproach, watched his dying son. Hearing this, he turned his head and gave a slight nod. You're Fang Chen, the one who defeated Bai Chu of my clan, aren't you? Thank you. Please, take this young master to the guest hall to rest. Just as Fang Chen had suspected, the North Sea Demon Emperor was in deep sorrow. It would be inappropriate to ask about the ruins now. He could only wait until the Crown Prince was healed before bringing it up. Demon Emperor, Fang Chen began, I am Fang Chen, a disciple of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. I am also the sworn brother to the Demon Emperors of the East, West, and South Seas. This time, I represent the human race, and also the three seas, in visiting the Crown Prince. The North Sea Demon Emperor hadn't paid much attention to Fang Chen, but upon hearing the latter part of his statement, his previously furrowed brows couldn't help but rise. A sworn brother to Demon Emperors, and to three of them, he wondered, are those three Demon Emperors really so quick to forge sworn brotherhoods with humans? He looked at Mu Ziyu, silently questioning the veracity of Fang Chen's claim. To his surprise, Mu Ziyu was utterly dumbfounded, even more astonished than he was. Wait, since when had Fang Chen become so influential in their Kanghai region? He's even sworn brotherhood with three demon emperors. While doubt lingered in his heart, his demeanor grew significantly more polite. So it's young friend Fang. Thank you for taking the trouble to visit my son. With a heavy sigh of despair, he added, please excuse this spectacle. He failed to break through to the Demon Emperor realm and ended up in such a shameful state. Fang Chen said earnestly, to face such immense heavenly might after being rushed into battle, the Crown Prince displayed truly commendable courage. I can barely contain my admiration, so how could I possibly scoff? Moreover, for a demon beast to achieve the Nascent Soul realm and become a demon emperor is inherently a gamble with survival. Failure is the norm, and success is but a rare occurrence. How can it be called shameful? Hearing these words, tears welled up in the North Sea Demon Emperor's eyes. He looked at his son, who was on the verge of death, his voice choked with emotion. My son, did you hear that? The young human friend says that even in defeat, you are glorious. It's not shameful. You will always be your father's pride. Mu Ziyu's eyes turned red, rimmed. Before consuming the spring water, the Crown Prince's greatest concern wasn't whether he would die, but whether his failure would bring shame upon the North Sea. Unable to bear seeing the Demon Emperor in such pain, she turned and said, Young Master Fang, I will take you to the guest hall to rest. Fang Chen was also slightly moved. He could feel the North Sea Demon Emperor's self-reproach and sorrow. For the sake of the North Sea, he had rushed his son onto a path of near, certain death, and then watched helplessly as he was nearly annihilated by the heavenly lightning. Those bolts of heavenly lightning struck the Crown Prince's body, but they struck his heart as well. He glanced at the various bottles and jars of healing items by the bedside. They were indeed excellent, and most seemed to have been used. But the Crown Prince's injuries had not been effectively alleviated. Judging by the Demon Emperor's expression, he had likely already prepared himself for his son's death. Fang Chen immediately took out a rejuvenation pill. Demon Emperor, he said, among us humans, we have some excellent healing medicinal pills. This one is called the Rejuvenation Pill. As long as a single breath remains, it can successfully prolong life. Demon Emperor, you could let the Crown Prince try it. The North Sea Demon Emperor, eyes clouded with tears, turned his head, looking at the Rejuvenation Pill in Fang Chen's palm. He said hoarsely, Thank you, young friend. My son has already used many elixirs. They're no longer effective. He was already disheartened. All the healing items gathered with the full might of the North Sea had proven useless. What use could a single medicinal pill from a human disciple possibly be? Fang Chen persisted, Demon Emperor, please just try it. We humans have an old saying, treat a dead horse as if it were still alive. What if it works? The North Sea Demon Emperor thought for a moment, then took the medicinal pill. Just as he was about to give it to the Crown Prince, a frantic, elegantly dressed woman rushed in. Demon Emperor, the venerable 100 herbs from Shenong Cliff is here. Hearing this, the North Sea Demon Emperor's eyes blazed with intense light, and immense hope surged within him. Quick, invite him in. My son is saved. Mu Ziyu's eyes also lit up with surprise, and she couldn't help but cheer. The elegantly dressed woman noticed her presence, and her face became stern. What are you doing here? Mu Ziyu's face stiffened, and she immediately retreated from the sick room, saying respectfully, Yes, ma'am. The elegant woman before him was the Empress of the North Sea herself, and she clearly had no love for Mu Ziyu. Her sharp gaze swept over to Fang Chen. So, you're the one my son calls a friend. The North Sea Demon Emperor cut in. Young friend Fang, why don't you follow Mu Ziyu to the guest hall and get some rest? As he spoke, he carelessly tossed the spring return pill onto a pile of other healing elixirs, clearly having no intention of using it. Seeing his medicinal pill treated like trash, Fang Chen's brow furrowed. Emperor, if you don't need the pill, I'll take it back. If they wanted to pin all their hopes on Grandmaster Beikao, fine. If he could cure the prince, great. But if the kid died, they couldn't blame Fang Chen for not trying. He wasn't about to waste a perfectly good spring return pill on people who didn't want it. The Demon Emperor blinked, stunned. Who asks for a gift back? Was this pill actually something precious? He felt a twinge of regret for being so dismissive, but since Fang Chen had asked, he had no choice but to hand the pill back. Fang Chen took the elixir and turned to leave without a second glance. Once he was out of earshot, the Empress frowned. Your Majesty, who is that human? Why did you stop me from questioning him? She had been about to grill him on his background when the Emperor intervened and sent him away with Mu Ziyu. Only after confirming Fang Chen was gone did the Demon Emperor speak. That's Mu Ziyu's friend, Fang Chen. He's the one who crushed Bai Chu in public. The Empress's face instantly darkened. A friend of that little brat. No wonder he's so disrespectful. To take back a gift like that, what a disgrace to the human race. The Demon Emperor sighed. Enough. He came all this way to check on the Crown Prince. Don't be so petty. This was exactly why he'd sent Fang Chen away. Bai Chu was from the Empress's own clan. During the diplomatic mission to the mainland, Bai Chu had been taken away. The Empress needed someone to blame, and the envoys were the easiest targets. She had demanded that Yu Qingshuan, Mu Ziyu, and the 4 deputies be thrown into the imperial dungeon to rot. But the Demon Emperor had pardoned them all. In his eyes, it wasn't their fault. Feyan Vajra was a powerhouse even in the Taking Great Province. Even the Emperor himself couldn't guarantee he could have protected Bai Chu from someone like that, let alone you Qingshuan's team. Since the Empress didn't dare pick a fight with the White Horse Temple, she vented her rage on Muzi Yu and the others. You're always protecting outsiders, the Empress snapped. If it weren't for them, Bai Chu wouldn't have been taken. If Bai Chu wasn't gone, we wouldn't be dealing with this divine spring mess, and my son wouldn't be lying there half dead. If he dies, I'll make sure all 5 of them are buried with him. Her eyes welled with tears, a cocktail of pure grief and burning hatred. The Emperor's expression turned cold. Just as the royal couple was about to explode at each other, a maid arrived, leading a human expert from the Nascent Soul realm. He looked to be about 80 years old, wearing a faded white robe over slightly tanned skin. He didn't look particularly kind, but he didn't look malicious either, just a plain old man you'd miss in a crowd. But this was the legendary Grandmaster Beikao, the most famous healer in the take, in Great Province. He had once saved a soul formation realm expert and received a reward so massive it fueled his own breakthrough into the Nascent Soul realm. I, Jai, thank you for coming all this way, Grandmaster, the Demon Emperor said, bowing deeply in gratitude. Beikao gestured dismissively, medicine chest in hand. Let's skip the small talk. The Crown Prince's condition looks complicated. The moment he saw the prince on the bed, his face turned grim. He pushed past the Emperor and Empress and rushed to the bedside. He set his chest down and instantly activated a technique. His eyes glowed with a strange emerald light as he scanned the prince's body. After only a moment, he shook his head and reached for his medicine chest, making no move to continue the treatment. The glimmer of hope on the Emperor's face died instantly, replaced by a haunting silence. Grandmaster, my son, Beikao shook his head slowly. A doctor can cure the sick, but not the dead. The prince's injuries are beyond the reach of medicine. Every bone in his body was shattered, his organs had been fried by lightning, his heart was in pieces, and his life force was essentially gone. He was clinging to life by a literal thread. If I act, I'll only buy him a few more minutes of agony. It's better to let him go now and spare him the suffering. What? The Empress collapsed by the bed, sobbing as she clutched her son's mangled hand. Even the Emperor couldn't hold back. Any more tears streamed down his face as he began to weep. They thought bringing in Grandmaster Beikao would be their miracle, but even the greatest healer was powerless. Beikao, used to such tragedies, spoke calmly. Tribulation injuries are almost always fatal. I've seen many struck down by the heavens, and less than half survive. The prince was simply unlucky. You have my condolences. He sighed inwardly. The demon clan had reached out to him even before the prince's breakthrough attempt, just in case. But this was just too much. The Emperor was sobbing even harder than his wife. Grandmaster, please, is there really nothing else? No hope at all? If medicine isn't enough, what about high-grade medicinal pills? Beikao looked at him coldly. At my level, medicine and alchemy are one and the same. I am a 3-star soul master. If there was a pill that could save him, do you think I'd be holding it back? For high-level cultivators, needles and herbs aren't enough. They need the raw power of elixirs. Without the spiritual sensitivity of a soul master, one could never truly be a master healer. Hearing this, the Emperor broke down completely, dropping to his knees. He stared desperately at Beikao's closed medicine chest. Grandmaster, please, think of something. The North Sea will pay any price, anything, just save my son's life. Beikao scoffed. Did this man really think he was holding out for a better bribe? I cannot save him, he snapped. Unless you can find a soul formation expert willing to sacrifice their own essence blood, or one of the 9 ancient healing elixirs, he's a dead man. The North Sea Demon Emperor's face was stained with tears. Where in this ocean am I supposed to find a soul formation expert? And even if I did, how could I ever convince them to sacrifice their own lifeblood for us? As for those 9 legendary healing elixirs, they're myths from the ancient era for a reason. They've been lost to time. In this day and age, where would they even exist? The Emperor's voice was thick with bitterness. Where would we even begin to look? By the time we found a lead, my son would already be long gone. Master Beikao shook his head slightly. Other ancient pills might be gone forever, but on the mainland behind you, I've heard whispers. An ancient elixir was recently spotted on the battlefield. I didn't just travel all this way to the North Sea to prepare for the prince's tribulation. I also came to check if those rumors were true. On the mainland? A spark of hope flickered in the Emperor's eyes, only to be snuffed out instantly. Even if it was true, so what? His son didn't have time. He'd be dead before the Emperor even reached the shore. Seeing the Emperor's despair, Master Beikao stopped talking. He picked up his medicine chest. I'm truly sorry for your loss. Once this is over, you should still head to the mainland and find that pill. Keep one on hand, and you'll never have to go through this again. The North Sea Demon Emperor broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. The Empress asked through her tears, "Master, please, what is the name of this pill? What does it look like?" Master Beikao thought for a moment. "I've only seen it in ancient texts. It's the size of a baby's thumb and a vibrant emerald green. It's called the Spring Back Pill. Farewell." He turned and walked away without looking back. He had hoped to use the prince's recovery as a bargaining chip for a spot in the Soul Formation ruins, but it looked like he'd come all this way for nothing. He didn't notice that behind him the Emperor had stopped crying. What did the Master say that ancient healing pill was called? He asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty. The Empress wiped her eyes, confused. The Spring Back Pill. Why? The Emperor shook violently. Wasn't the pill Fang Chen offered him also called the Spring Back Pill? He pictured it clearly, the size of a baby's thumb, vibrant emerald green. And Fang Chen, he had just come from the mainland. He scrambled to his feet, wiping his eyes with trembling hands as he sprinted toward the exit. The Empress cried out, "Your son is taking his final breaths. Where are you going?" The Emperor was beyond ecstatic. The Spring Back Pill. I'm going to get the Spring Back Pill. The pill that young Fang gave us, that was the Spring Back Pill. The Empress gasped. She bolted upright, her face turning pale with shock. She thought back. The pill Fang Chen had taken back. It was exactly as Master Beikao described. Overwhelmed with sudden hope, she chased after her husband. The guest hall. "Sister Mu, did you do something to offend the Empress?" Fang Chen asked. Seeing Mu Zi use lingering distress, he grew concerned. "Mu Zi, you poured him a cup of tea," her face clouded with gloom. "Bai Chu is part of the Empress's inner circle." That was all Fang Chen needed to hear. No wonder the Empress was so hostile, and no wonder the Emperor had rushed him away. If she knew he was with Mu Ziyu, she would have turned her sharp tongue on him too. "You were just unlucky to run into the Golden Seal Vajra," Fang Chen said, trying to comfort her. Honestly, no one could have saved Bai Chu from that. Fang Chen spoke softly, trying to ease her mind. Mu Ziyu gave a bitter laugh. "I'd actually prefer it if the Emperor just punished me. Maybe then the Empress and Bai Chu's elders would finally let it go." As they chatted, boisterous laughter echoed from outside the hall. "Master, it is an honor to have you here. Please forgive my late welcome." A powerful sea demon in fine robes, several spikes protruding from his head, enthusiastically led a guest into the room. Mu Ziyu tensed up the moment she saw him. It was too late to leave, so she stood silently by Fang Chen's side. "Are you afraid of him?" Fang Chen asked, his tone serious. Mu Ziyu sighed. "He's Bai Heilang, one of the 7 great demon kings of the North Sea. He's my boss's rival and Bai Chu's kinsman. Every single one of those titles makes him a nightmare for me." Fang Chen watched him with interest. If Bai Heilang was calling this person master, it had to be a nascent soul powerhouse from the human race. Soon the guest entered. He was missing his right arm and wore a black patch over his right eye, a crippled nascent soul expert. Fang Chen's eyes narrowed. He discreetly reached for the double pupil eye hidden in his robes. The newcomer was none other than the Evil Eye Master. The Evil Eye Master had gone through a lot to steal that soul formation ruin mark. There was no way he was going to let it go to waste. The moment he stepped into the hall, his gaze swept the room and locked onto Fang Chen. "He hast you." Fang Chen gave a casual wave. "Evil Eye Master, what a small world. Tell me, what happened to your arm?" "And your eye?" "Venerable Evil Eye roared, "You brat, you have the gall to bring that up? Wasn't it all Fang Chen's fault that I ended up like this? If not for that strange power pulling me from the sky, would I have lost an arm? If I hadn't lost my arm, would the West Sea Demonic Emperor have so easily gouged out my eye? He's the true culprit." Mu Ziyu's lips twitched. After provoking the Demonic Emperor, how had Fang Chen managed to provoke a human nascent soul realm expert now? She partially shielded Fang Chen behind her and said gravely, "Venerable Evil Eye, this is the North Sea Imperial Palace." Venerable Evil Eye merely stared intently at Fang Chen. He had come here for the Soul Formation Realm ruins, and naturally knew he couldn't just start a fight in this place. Bai Heilang frowned slightly. Venerable Evil Eye is a distinguished guest of the 3 Purity Mountain. How could we possibly slight him during his visit? Then he looked at Mu Ziyu, his expression darkening. "Impudent, how dare you speak to a venerable one like that?" Mu Ziyu pursed her lips, feeling a pang of guilt towards the Bai clan, and remained silent. Bai Heilang shot her a cutting glance, then cupped his hands to Venerable Evil Eye. "Venerable one, please calm your anger. I will petition the Demonic Emperor to banish this tactless wretch to the borderlands, lest she bring shame upon our North Sea." Venerable Evil Eye glanced sideways at her, realizing she was addressing Fang Chen, and said with a faint sneer, So the North Sea's standards are so high that even a nascent soul realm expert must heed the shouts of a petty sea demon. Bai Heilang immediately felt a terrible premonition. He had clearly angered Venerable Evil Eye. Already harboring resentment towards Mu Ziyu, Bai Heilang grew even more displeased. Mu Ziyu, are you doing this on purpose? Isn't harming Bai Chu enough? Now you want to bring disaster to the North Sea. Get over here and kneel before Venerable Evil Eye to apologize. Mu Ziyu pursed her lips, her heart a turmoil. Her small hands clutched the corner of her skirt, and she looked utterly bewildered. When had she ever reprimanded him? She had merely reminded Venerable Evil Eye. Who would have thought such a powerful nascent soul realm expert would be so petty, making things difficult for a junior like her? Are you deaf? Bai Heilang snarled. If you anger the Venerable One, and he leaves, do you know how the Empress will punish you? Your entire clan will be implicated. If only she herself were to be punished, Mu Zi, you could still endure it, but upon hearing that her clan would be implicated, she could no longer hold out. She gritted her teeth and took a step forward. But just as she moved, Fang Chen grabbed her arm, gently pulling her back. Fang Chen gently set down his teacup and said calmly, King Bai, rest assured. Venerable Evil Eye finally managed to scheme his way into getting the Soul Formation Realm Ruins imprint. You could try to drive him away, and he still wouldn't leave. How could he not see that their target wasn't Mu Ziyu, but him, Fang Chen? It made no sense for him to shrink back and let Mu Ziyu suffer humiliation. Bai Heilang looked coldly at Fang Chen. Who are you? Fang Chen pointed to the tea on the table. Can't you tell? A guest of your North Sea. Mu Ziyu was treating me perfectly fine, but you're yelling at her, ordering her around, and even making her kneel before someone. What Venerable Evil Eye is a guest, but I'm not. Bai Heilang scrutinized Fang Chen suspiciously. My apologies, I seem to be blind. Who might you be? Mu Ziyu, deeply moved to see Fang Chen stand up for her, gathered her courage and declared, standing before you is the sworn brother of the demonic emperors of the South, East, and West Seas, the favored son-in-law of the Azure Firmament demonic emperor, the most esteemed disciple of the Pavilion Master of Heavenly Secrets, and the strongest human prodigy, Fang Chen. Fang Chen's eyelids twitched slightly. The most esteemed disciple of the Pavilion Master of Heavenly Secrets. Did you run that by the Pavilion Master first? Mu Zi, you gave Fang Chen a reassuring glance. When you're traveling, you bestow your own titles. Bai Heilang was utterly stunned. Just hearing sworn brother of the 3 sea demonic emperors made his heart pound. That was an explosive identity. Venerable Evil Eye narrowed his eyes. Sworn brother of the 3 sea demonic emperors by a mere human. He didn't know much about the other demonic emperors, but the Old Dream demonic emperor was such a conservative woman, she wouldn't just form random connections. King Bai, you weren't actually frightened, were you? Bai Heilang snapped back to attention. This put him in an impossible bind. He didn't want to offend anyone, but he was being forced to make a choice. He gritted his teeth and said, Young Master Fang, this doesn't concern you. I'm disciplining my own clan member. With that, he glared fiercely at Mu Ziyu. I won't repeat myself. Come here and stop using a guest as your shield. Mu Ziyu clenched her jaw slightly, attempting to pull free from Fang Chen, but the current Fang Chen was no longer the same. There was no way she could easily break free from him. Fang Chen looked calmly at Bai Heilang and said, If you want to curry favor with 3 Purity Mountain, you can kneel yourself however you wish. I'd even see you as someone with a semblance of backbone. But if you want to curry favor without kneeling yourself, forcing your own clan member to endure this humiliation in your stead, then you're truly despicable. Don't the Sea Demon clan understand what 3 Purity Mountain truly is? To suppress his own clan member and curry favor with outsiders like this, was it pathetic, or did Bai Heilang harbor malicious intentions? Who's trying to curry favor? Bai Heilang snapped, for Fang Chen's words had struck a nerve. With Fang Chen escalating to personal insults, Bai Heilang couldn't afford to be polite anymore. Boy, I don't care what kind of guest you are. In my North Sea, openly insulting a demon king is a privilege you don't possess. Kindly leave, thank you. So speaking the truth is an insult. Then what do you call your insulting actions? Fang Chen remained seated, utterly at ease, and handed his empty teacup to the anxious Mu Ziyu. The tea's all gone, and you haven't poured more. If you treat guests like this, I might just report you to the demonic emperor. King Bai had already issued a command to expel him, yet Fang Chen was still thinking about tea. Mu Ziyu was almost in tears from anxiety. She took the teacup, poured water, and frantically tried to think of a solution. Don't be nervous, Fang Chen said calmly. He can't drive me away, not even the Empress could. He held the pill recipe for the cold cicada Nirvana elixir. Since he had given it to the other 3 seas, he could naturally give it to the North Sea as well. With this pill recipe, no matter how much the Empress cared for Bai Chu, she should surely know what's truly important. Bai Heiling scoffed, infuriated. I can't drive you away. He was enraged. In front of Venerable Evil Eye of 3 Purity Mountain, if he couldn't even deal with a junior who had offended him, how could he continue to gain the trust of 3 Purity Mountain in the future? I don't want to lay hands on a guest, so boy, you have 3 breaths to walk out of this guest hole yourself. Otherwise, I will personally escort you out. Mu Ziyu's hand trembled at his words, tea spilling over the rim of the cup. Fang Chen reached out, his grip light but steady on her arm as he helped her finish pouring. He spoke without a trace of emotion, so you're throwing out guests just to suck up to the evil eye. Fine, let's see how the North Sea handles its evictions. They were minding their own business in the guest hall when these 2 showed up and started pushing their luck. First, they demanded apologies on bended knees, then they tried to force them out. Fang Chen was done being polite. White Sea Wolf's face darkened. Fine, you asked for this. His eyes flashed as he glared at Mu Ziyu. This is all your fault, you suicidal brat. I'll deal with you first. He planned to strike Mu Ziyu first, using overwhelming force to intimidate Fang Chen into leaving. He didn't want to risk actually hurting a guest and facing the Demon Emperor's wrath. Scaring him off was the smarter play. He lashed out with the full force of a peak 9th stage Golden Core expert. A massive, invisible wave of water surged forward, crashing toward Mu Ziyu like a tidal wave. At the 8th stage of the Golden Core realm, she didn't stand a chance against such power, but if she dodged, the impact would hit Fang Chen. She gritted her teeth, bracing herself to take the hit. Feeling the sheer bone-crushing force of the incoming blast, a bitter thought crossed her mind. This was going to hurt badly. Crash! Suddenly, a blinding, searing blade of lightning filled her vision. A massive lightning sword, over 600 feet long, materialized out of thin air. It didn't just shatter the water wave, it sent White Sea Wolf hurtling out of the guest hall. He landed in a heap, his clothes shredded, and his skin covered in jagged electrical burns. White Sea Wolf gasped in shock. Lightning magic, the undying blade of the Myriad Tribulation Temple. Mu Ziyu stared at Fang Chen, her heart racing with awe. Back at the Demon Emperor's palace, Fang Chen had to use every trick in his arsenal just to beat an 8th stage expert. Now he just swatted away a peak 9th stage Demon King with a single blow. The difference was night and day. The evil eye glanced at the fading sparks in Fang Chen's palm. He'd seen the boy fight before, so he knew what he was capable of. If Fang Chen got serious, White Sea Wolf wouldn't stand a chance. A smirk played on his lips as he continued to stir the pot. Wow, White Sea Wolf, the North Sea is slipping. You can't even handle one rude guest. Pathetic. White Sea Wolf snapped. He turned and bellowed toward the distance. Get over here. Someone's starting a riot in the palace. In truth, he didn't need to shout. Every powerhouse in the palace had felt the massive surge of energy and was already rushing toward them. Moments later, 4 more peak 9th stage Demon Kings arrived. While they lacked the prestige of the old guard, they were still formidable masters. Together with White Sea Wolf, the 5 of them were a force that even the strongest generals would struggle to handle. Fang Chen glanced at the evil eye. The man was clearly baiting him, hoping he'd cause enough chaos to provoke the Demon Emperor's punishment. Too bad he was about to be disappointed. Fang Chen didn't even move to meet them. He simply raised his hand, channeling the lightning within him until it reached a fever pitch, then brought it down in a savage arc. A terrifying 2,000-foot lightning blade plummeted from the sky. Crack, the guest hall was sliced clean in 2, leaving a massive, scorched trench carved deep into the earth. White Sea Wolf and the 4 Demon Kings were blasted back in different directions, their faces twisted in pure terror. That single strike, it carried the raw power of a Nascent Soul expert. Among those at the peak of the Golden Core realm, only the most seasoned veterans who had survived their tribulations could hope to survive that. Fang Chen spoke calmly. Go ahead, White Sea Wolf. Keep calling for backup. The more noise you make, the better. The more the palace was trashed, the more the Demon Emperor would blame White Sea Wolf once Fang Chen revealed the pill recipe. He had zero patience for this idiot, a lapdog who sold himself out to outsiders and was too stupid to realize he was being played. It was time for a harsh lesson. White Sea Wolf's reputation was in tatters. 5 Demon Kings, and they couldn't even budge one lone human. Just then, a Nascent Soul aura streaked across the palace sky. It was Master Beikao, Two more figures followed close behind, moving like streaks of light. At the front was the North Sea Demon Emperor himself. The evil eye looked at the ruined guest hall, a faint smirk touching his lips. He could already imagine the look on the Demon Emperor's face. This was the heart of the North Sea, the very symbol of royal pride and face. Even he wouldn't have dared to unleash that kind of destruction here. Fang Chen was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid to tear the place apart like this. White Sea Wolf's expression turned cold. He mouthed two words at Fang Chen, "You're dead." He rushed forward, putting on his best act of injured innocence, "Your Majesty, thank goodness you're here. This arrogant brat is causing chaos in our palace. With the crown prince's life hanging in the balance, and the emperor already consumed by grief. Fang Chen couldn't have picked a worse time to destroy the hall. He was walking straight into the firing line. Everyone waited for the emperor's fury to explode. Except the emperor didn't say a word. He simply shoved the groveling official out of his way. Caught off guard, White Sea Wolf tumbled to the ground in a heap. He stared up, completely stunned. Why the sudden panic from the Demon Emperor? One look at Venerable Evil Eye, eating amidst the rubble with a face as dark as thunder made it crystal clear. A VIP like Venerable Evil Eye had been grossly disrespected. Of course the Emperor was losing his mind. Venerable Evil Eye shot Fang Chen a sideways glare. "Get out. If you don't leave now, the Emperor will make sure you never leave at all." Venerable Evil Eye put on his best furious expression, fully expecting the North Sea Demon Emperor to sprint over and beg for his forgiveness. Right on cue, the Demon Emperor strode in his direction. As the Emperor drew near, the Venerable gave a perfectly timed, dramatic cough. The hospitality of the North Sea is truly eye-opening. He was ready to put the Emperor in his place, but his smug expression instantly froze. The Demon Emperor completely ignored him, brushing past to sprint straight toward Fang Chen. "My young friend Fang, I'm so sorry I'm late." The Empress rushed over right behind him, bowing deeply with a frantic, apologetic look. "I have deeply offended you, young Master Fang. Please, I beg your forgiveness." She was secretly sweating bullets. Thank the heavens the Emperor had pulled Fang Chen away earlier. If her previous harsh words had driven him off, they would never have gotten him back. Fang Chen glanced at Venerable Evil Eye's petrified face and gave a half-smile. "Your Majesties, I'm just a junior. Venerable Evil Eye is the true senior here. Don't leave him out in the cold. He's been eagerly waiting for your warm hospitality." Talk about twisting the knife. He wasn't just slapping the man's face, he was utterly destroying his ego. With a full-blown crisis on his hands, why would the Emperor give a damn about Venerable Evil Eye? He just tossed a half-hearted salute in the Venerable's general direction as a greeting. That made Venerable Evil Eye's face genuinely darken. He had been completely played, and he couldn't even complain. But the real gut punch was how little the Emperor cared about his fragile ego. The Emperor declared bluntly, "Young friend Fang, you are the North Sea's ultimate VIP. No one else even comes close. Having you slum it in this basic guest hall is a massive insult to you." He finally took a look around the ruined hall, then snapped his head toward Mu Ziyu, glaring furiously. "Is this how you take care of young Master Fang? And who in the world blew up the guest hall?" The Empress already had it out for Mu Ziyu, and now her temper was flaring. "You useless girl, I tell you to host young Master Fang, and you cause an unmitigated disaster. Who destroyed this hall? Spit it out." Mu Zi, you shot a cautious glance at Fang Chen. "Your Majesties, it might be better if I don't say." The Empress sneered, "I don't care who it is. To destroy the hall while young Master Fang is sitting right here is a blatant sign of disrespect. I will not let them off easily. Speak up, don't be afraid." Mu Zi, you pouted her lips. "Well, you asked for it." She pointed a finger right at Fang Chen. "Young Master Fang destroyed it." Fang Chen did it. The Empress immediately backpedaled, pulling a flawless 180. "Oh my, would you look at this old, dilapidated building? It practically collapsed on its own. It could have hurt young Master Fang." Mu Ziyu stifled a giggle, who knew the normally high and mighty Empress could flip her attitude faster than a turning page. Spotting the pail, faced by Hailing nearby, Mu Zi, you decided to twist the knife. Oh, the hall didn't just collapse. It blew up because Bai Hailing was trying to kick young Master Fang out. He even attacked him. What? He attacked Fang Chen? Even the Demon Emperor jumped at that. He shot a lethal glare at the Empress. "Your clansman is getting pretty bold, taking it upon himself to evict our guests and using force to do it. Across the 4 seas, who has ever heard of kicking out an honored guest? It's an absolute disgrace. The Empress was equally horrified. Sure, under her protection, her family members threw their weight around. But she never imagined they'd be arrogant enough to physically attack a VIP. Did he have absolutely no regard for the reputation of the North Sea?
At that thought,
Her eyes practically spat fire. By hailing, you have completely crossed the line, she roared with commanding authority. Hand over your Demon King token immediately, then go kneel outside the palace gates and await your punishment. By Hailing's face drained of all color. He had just been stripped of his title as a Demon King. The Demon Emperor turned back, his face full of guilt. Young Master Fang, I am profoundly sorry. Clearly, we have some serious internal issues here in the North Sea. Thank the heavens Fang Chen was completely unharmed. If he had been hurt, how could the Emperor possibly beg him for the rejuvenation pill? Since they had dealt with Bai Heilang, Fang Chen had no reason to press the issue. He stood up, dusting himself off. Let's go take a look at the Crown Prince. The Empress flushed with sudden excitement, quickly followed by a deep wave of guilt. Thank you, young Master Fang, for looking past our earlier slights. The North Sea owes you a massive debt of gratitude. Fang Chen nodded. Before heading inside, he turned around. Sister Mu, come with us. Mu Zi, you happily hurried after him. The Empress watched this exchange, immediately catching on. Fang Chen was intentionally lifting Mu Zi, you up. How could she miss such an obvious hint? After all, if Mu Zi, you hadn't befriended this incredible young man, the Crown Prince would be dead. Ziyu, you have done the North Sea a great service. From this day forward, you will be granted the privileges of a Demon King. I expect to see you officially ascend to the title soon. Mu Ziyu's eyes widened in absolute sheer joy. The privileges of a Demon King meant she would have access to the absolute best resources. Second only to the Demon Emperor and Empress themselves. With that kind of backing, if she couldn't hit the absolute peak of the 9th level of the Golden Core Realm, she'd only have herself to blame. Thank you, Your Majesty, and thank you, young Master Fang. She wasn't stupid. She knew Fang Chen had orchestrated this massive windfall just for her. Glancing at his handsome profile, a wild thought crossed her mind. The day he had knocked her out cold and swiped her undergarment. That wasn't a humiliation. That was destiny handing her the ultimate golden ticket. It's just a shame he was so timid and only took her undergarment. If he had been a bit more hands-on, would her fortunes be even greater now? Not too far away, Bai Heilang's body stiffened violently. He had scraped and bowed, shamelessly kissing up to Master Evil Eye, and hadn't gotten a single copper coin to show for it. Meanwhile, Mu Zi, you did nothing but treat Fang Chen with basic respect and was handed the world. The staggering unfairness of it all made him grind his teeth in pure jealousy. He shot a venomous glare at Master Evil Eye and muttered under his breath, all flash and no substance. What a massive waste of my time. Master Evil Eye's face shifted through vivid shades of green and red. He sat entirely alone in the ruined courtyard, awkwardly clutching a cup of cold tea as everyone else completely ignored him. Too humiliated to stay, yet too embarrassed to simply sneak away. Inside the sick room, looking at the Crown Prince who was clinging to life by a literal thread, Fang Chen took out the Rejuvenation Elixir once more. He offered a knowing half-smile. I assume it won't be tossed aside this time. The Demon Emperor's weathered face flushed with embarrassment. I was blind. I had no idea a legendary ancient elixir was placed right in front of me. You offered such a priceless treasure, completely unprompted, and I threw it back in your face. I am deeply ashamed. Fang Chen didn't rub it in. He simply stepped forward and slipped the Rejuvenation Elixir into the Crown Prince's mouth. The moment it was swallowed, the medicinal pill dissolved into pure spiritual liquid, rushing through the prince's shattered meridians and nourishing his failing organs. Almost instantly, his terrifyingly weak breathing steadied and deepened. Give it half a day at most. Your son will make a full recovery. Such devastating injuries healed in just half a day. The Demon Emperor and Empress were utterly floored, tears of joy springing to their eyes. The Demon Emperor bowed deeply, his voice thick with emotion. Young friend Fang, you saved my son's life. Words cannot express the depth of my gratitude. Fang Chen waved off the formalities. He simply tapped the center of his brow, and a flickering sigil of blue flame materialized. I won this access mark to the Soul Formation Realm ruins in a bet against Bai Chu. I'm sure your clan is already aware. I plan to enter those ruins immediately. Will there be any issues at the gate? The Soul Formation Realm ruins. The Demon Emperor hesitated, shooting a deeply troubled look at his Empress. Fang Chen frowned. They had literally just used his Rejuvenation Elixir. Were they seriously going to walk back on their word now? Catching the sudden chill in Fang Chen's eyes, the Demon Emperor quickly waved his hands. Please don't misunderstand. You just saved my son's life. I'd give you anything you asked for. I have no intention of stopping you. It's just that going into the soul formation realm ruins right now is practically a death sentence. Fang Chen raised an eyebrow. Why is that? The Demon Emperor laid it out clearly. To tell you the truth, something triggered a terrifying mutation inside the ruins. Out of nowhere, massive swarms of venomous insects began flooding the entire area. These bugs are vicious. Even with my cultivation base, if I take too many bites, it would be fatal. For anyone under the Nascent Soul realm, a single sting is an absolute death sentence. My guess is that when we first forced the ruins open, that unknown evil spirit released the swarm before fleeing. It's a biological lockdown to keep us out. Fang Chen stroked his chin, eyes narrowing. Venomous insects, huh? The mysterious chicken feather resting against his chest had easily overpowered the legendary dream, devouring frost worms. A generic swarm of venomous bugs wouldn't even be a blip on his radar. Aside from the bugs, there's another massive headache, the Demon Emperor continued. 3 cultivators from the Horizon Pavilion are also demanding entry, and one of them is a true powerhouse in the Nascent Soul realm. Young Master Fang, if you head in with them, forget about competing for resources. We can't even guarantee your safety. A Nascent Soul expert? Now, that's a problem. That powerhouse might not be as reasonable as the 3 demon kings of Pearl, Old Dream, and Great Sun. If soul formation essence blood appears, there's no way he's going to share it. He might even decide to take your life just for the hell of it. No wonder the Demon King is hesitating. The Demon King sighed. Maybe you should let them scout it out first. If they're brave enough to enter, they must have a way to suppress the toxic insects. Who knows, after their first sweep, the insect threat might be totally cleared out. Fang Chen's brow furrowed. How could he wait? If they scavenged all the good stuff first, what would be the point of going in at all? Was he supposed to just take a sightseeing tour and tag the wall with Fang Chen was here? After a moment's thought, he realized he had to show a bit of his hand. What if I went in first? To be honest, I have my own ways of dealing with those insects. I'll be fine. You have a way to counter them. The Demon King was stunned, but still uneasy. If Fang Chen died in there, and the kings of the other 3 seas came looking for their sworn brother, how would he ever pay them back? Just then, the queen glanced at the bed and saw the prince's breathing had stabilized, his charred skin already being replaced by new growth. She gritted her teeth. Your Majesty, she said, let's lend Master Fang our North Sea divine treasure, the 9, dragon bronze carriage. It's perfect for a quick escape, and in a pinch, it can even summon a nascent soul, level dragon soul to fight for him. The Demon King winced at the suggestion. He whispered, the carriage runs on water essence. A single trip to those ruins will burn through a whole core. We barely have any water essence left in the North Sea. Even the royal family was usually too stingy to use the 9, dragon bronze carriage. The queen pinched his arm. Why are you being so small-minded? When Fang Chen gave you that rejuvenation pill, he didn't ask for a single thing in return. And now that it's your turn, you're going to be a cheapskate. The Demon King backed down. Fine, fine, we'll do it your way. He turned back to Fang Chen. Young friend, you heard her. Follow me to the treasury. For something to be called a divine treasure of the North Sea, it had to be legendary. Fang Chen wasn't an idiot. He wasn't about to say no. Fang Chen nodded, a faint smile on his face. A short while later, they arrived at the North Sea Palace treasury. A massive bronze carriage, protected by layer upon layer of formation seals, came into view. Standing several stories high, it shimmered with a rhythmic green light, radiating an aura of ancient power. The cabin was etched with intricate runes, and the wheels were inlaid with strange, pulsing patterns. Most striking of all were the 9 bronze dragons harnessed to the front, a true emperor's ride led by 9 dragons. Fang Chen was impressed. Only the most powerful experts in the world deserve a carriage like this. The Demon King deactivated the formations and shrunk the carriage down until it fit in the palm of his hand, a look of nostalgia in his eyes. I've only used it once, on the day of my coronation. I usually can't bear to touch it. I hope it keeps you safe, Master Fang. He then pulled out a conch shell filled with water essence and handed both items to Fang Chen. Unless it's an absolute emergency. Don't use it lightly. If you run out of water essence in a crisis, you'll be left without a way to power it. Fang Chen accepted them calmly, but he was secretly shocked by the water essence. He hadn't realized how valuable this stuff really was. Thinking back to that gluttonous traitor who had already devoured 3 shells worth, his heart ached. He really needed to cut that thing's rations and show it what real exploitation felt like. Master Fang, I need to make some preparations before opening the Soul Formation ruins to make sure the insects don't all come swarming out. Feel free to look around the treasury while you wait. Take anything that catches your eye, the Demon King said politely. Fang Chen knew he was just being polite. He smiled and said, "You've already lent me the 9 dragon bronze carriage. I'd be greedy to ask for more. I don't need any treasures, but would you mind if I browsed your clan's library?" The North Sea clan had to have a decent collection. He might finally find those bronze hell beast runes he was looking for. The Demon King breathed a secret sigh of relief. If it's just books, help yourself. The archives are at the far south end of the treasury. Queen, Mu Ziyu, why don't you two accompany Master Fang? Fang Chen declined. No need. I'd prefer some quiet time to read. Just call me when the ruins are ready. Since he put it that way, the Demon King didn't insist. We'll head out then. It's perfectly safe in here, so feel free to wander. As they left the treasury, the king noticed an umbrella leaning against a nearby palace door. His face lit up. Isn't that King Xuan's umbrella? Is she out of seclusion? The queen quickly did the math, her face bright with joy. You're right, today is the day. I've been so overwhelmed lately, I completely forgot about my own daughter's return. She turned to go back into the treasury to find her, but the Demon King stopped her with a fond look. Let her be, she's likely buried in her books. Let's not disturb her. Beside him, Mu Ziyu's expression turned strange at the mention of King Xuan. Though Jai King Xuan was the eldest princess of the North Sea, even Mu Ziyu had rarely seen her. That was because the princess was a total outlier. On the day she was born, an umbrella fell from the heavens into the ocean and drifted right to her side. Ever since, she never went anywhere without it, constantly claiming it was raining above her head, but they were deep in the ocean. Where could rain possibly come from? Even more bizarre was her intellect. She was born a polyglot, and was already a voracious reader by the age of 3. By 10, she grew frustrated with the limited knowledge of the North Sea. She bankrolled a massive network of humans, land demons, and sea demons who did nothing but roam the world, gathering every scrap of intel they could find. Now 18, she hardly spoke to anyone. Most people didn't know the answers to her questions, and she already knew everything they had to say. Even the Demon Emperor found it hard to hold a conversation with her. She was like an ethereal spirit who belonged to neither the North Sea nor the mortal realm, completely out of sync with the world around her. The queen stopped herself from interrupting and let out a soft sigh. Will King Xuan always be like this? Inside the treasury, Fang Chen headed straight for the southern end. He found rows upon rows of bookshelves, a collection far more vast than the East Seas, and broke into a light jog toward them. As he got closer, he was surprised to see a youth sitting cross-legged against a shelf. The boy held a stack of loose papers filled with reports from humans, land demons, and sea demons, completely absorbed in the text. Dressed in luxurious silk, the boy looked frail from behind. A demon scale hung from his waist, pulsing with the terrifying energy of a hidden strike from the Soul Formation realm. He was clearly no ordinary person. Hearing movement, the youth turned around, revealing his features, a delicate face, skin as flawless as a pearl, and soft, pretty features. At first glance, he looked like a girl, but a second look at his flat chest confirmed he was definitely a young man. Fang Chen thought back to the East Sea Prince, who had once disguised himself as Fang Chen's mother. He muttered to himself, is there too much yin energy in the 4 seas? Why do all the guys here look like girls? The youth gave Fang Chen a brief once-over before returning to his reading, clearly uninterested in conversation. Fine by me, Fang Chen thought. He hurried to the shelves, flipping through books one by one. If it contained relevant text, he examined it closely. If not, it went right back on the shelf. The two went about their own business, one with his loose papers, the other with the rustle of turning pages. The vast corner of the library was unusually peaceful. Half a day later, Fang Chen shook his head in disappointment. Nothing in the East Sea, nothing in the North Sea, and nothing on the mainland, he sighed. No wonder the pavilion master hasn't made progress in decades. Where am I supposed to look? Suddenly, a disturbance outside sent tremors through the seafloor. The water inside the treasury began to churn, and the papers on the boy's lap drifted away. One sheet fluttered toward Fang Chen. He caught it, and a line of human script caught his eye. Human writing, seeing this in the depths of the North Sea, is rare, he thought. He couldn't help but read further, but what he saw made his expression falter. Treatise on the World of Great Unity. Verified source, Fang Chen, former disciple of the Azure Cloud sect. Location, Demon Southwest Military Camp. Witnesses, Consort, Yunxia, and others. You've got to be kidding me. They actually tracked that down. Have you heard of the treatise on the world of great unity? Before he knew it, the beautiful youth was standing right in front of him, asking in a clear, calm voice. Heard of it? He was the one who said it. Yeah, I've heard of it, Fang Chen said, rubbing his nose. Are you going to tell me it's all nonsense too? The youth's calm eyes suddenly lit up. This was an incredibly obscure piece of information. He had expected the same dismissive answer he always got, but this boy, who didn't look much older than himself, had actually given him a real answer. What does it say, then? He asked, a hint of skepticism in his voice. Fang Chen cleared his throat awkwardly. It's basically just, honor the elderly as you honor your own. And cherish the young as you cherish your own, right? He felt like an author being grilled about his own work. It was a bit embarrassing. A flash of surprise crossed the youth's face. You actually know it. He shook his head slowly. Some might call it nonsense, but I see it as an ideal, the ultimate vision for a society where all races can coexist. It might seem hollow and impractical, but as the author said, reaching such an era requires a monumental figure to lead the way. He took the paper back, his fingers tracing over Fang Chen's name with curiosity. This man, Fang Chen. At first, I imagined him as a lonely king, someone who had built an immortal legacy and held massive ambition. Only someone like that could speak with such compassion for all living things. I didn't expect him to be just a young disciple. By the way, you're human too. Have you ever heard of this Fang Chen? Fang Chen gave a dry cough. Thick, skinned as he was, being praised to his face made him blush. I've heard the name, he said. But I don't really know the guy. The youth nodded slightly. I'm about to head out for a journey anyway. If I have the chance, I'll pay him a visit. Just then, Muzi Yu's voice echoed from outside. Master Fang, the Soul Formation realm ruins are about to open. So the tremor from earlier had been caused by the opening of the ruins. Got it. I'm coming, Fang Chen shouted back. He cupped his hands to the youth. Friend, I've got to go. Take care. The youth, having finally found someone to talk to, walked alongside him. I'll walk you out. Do you know about the black pillar that pierces the heavens? He asked suddenly. Fang Chen wondered if this guy hadn't spoken to anyone in lifetimes. Why was he suddenly so chatty? Still, he answered politely, of course, I saw it myself. The youth wasn't surprised. The whole world was talking about it. And what's your take on it? Fang Chen looked up toward the deep blue above. After a moment of silence, he said, I think the sky above us isn't just a sky. It's a gateway to an unknown world. After all, ancient giants don't just fall from the clouds for no reason. And divine treasures like the god. Deceiving orbs don't just drop out of thin air. And why does the sky rain down thunderous lightning the moment a void ancient tree seed begins to sprout? Taking everything into account, he realized the sky above wasn't what he thought it was. It felt more like a sentient presence, something far beyond his understanding. You think so too? The boy's eyes lit up, his handsome features suddenly vibrant. He fell into thought. I feel it too. Something's wrong with the heavens, like it's sick. The rain never stops. It's like the world is weeping. Rain. Fang Chen looked at the chatty boy, confused. Since when has it been raining non-stop in this world? They walked and talked, debating the mysteries of the sky. As they reached the treasury doors, the boy gave a soft smile. Since you answered my question, I'll return the favor. Ask me anything about the continent or the four seas. I should have the answer. Big words, Fang Chen muttered, eyeing him skeptically. He took a moment to think. Deciding to test him, he pulled out the Hell, Beast Bronze artifact. See these inscriptions. Do you recognize them? The boy glanced at it and nodded simply. Infernal script. Most artifacts with infernal script on this continent come from the underworld beneath the pavilion of heavenly secrets. You're with them, aren't you? In infernal script, Fang Chen's eyes widened. This was the first time anyone had identified the source of these markings. He grabbed the boy by the shoulders, his excitement peaking. You're not messing with me, are you? Seeing his intensity, the boy let out a soft chuckle, covering his mouth. I'm sure. It's the infernal script. I saw some of it in a tattered bamboo scroll once. I managed to decipher a few characters. He pointed to the bronze piece. Look, this one translates to realm in the demonic tongue. This one means fall. And this one, that's king. Fang Chen couldn't believe his luck. He'd run into a random kid who actually knew the script. Is that scroll still around? Fang Chen asked urgently. I'll trade you whatever you want for it. The boy shook his head. I only trade for information I haven't heard before. Nothing else interests me. Fang Chen thought for a second. How about the underworld beneath the pavilion, a female ghost holding a military tally, and a cave filled with infernal tablets? The boy looked thoughtful. A military tally represents command over an army. Why would a ghost have one, and who would erect infernal tablets in an underworld? Interesting. Fine, it's a deal. But I don't have the scroll on me. You'll have to wait. Fang Chen's eyes lit up with anticipation. Perfect. I'm heading to a soul formation realm ruin anyway. I'll be back in a day. Let's meet right here at the treasury entrance. The boy nodded, but then called out, wait, if you go to those ruins as you are, you'll likely come back empty-handed. Let me give you something. Under Fang Chen's curious gaze, the boy pulled out some parchment and expertly sketched a simple map, circling a few specific locations. The soul formation ruins have already been explored. Anything easy to find has been stripped clean. Fortunately, the place is a labyrinth of endless tunnels. The last group didn't finish their sweep, these 3 circles. That's where they missed. Fang Chen wondered how the kid knew so much about the North Sea Demon Emperor's previous expedition. But judging by the boy's confidence, the map was the real deal. Man, you're a lifesaver. Fang Chen laughed, giving him a playful punch to the chest. I owe you one. The boy quickly clutched his chest, his rosy lips tightening. There was a hint of, was that annoyance in his eyes? Did I hurt you? Seeing him hold his chest, Fang Chen rolled his eyes. It was just a tap. You seriously need to build some muscle. You're all skin and bones. He gave the boy's arm a squeeze. The kid was impossibly thin. His bicep was barely as thick as Fang Chen's wrist. The boy jerked his arm away, a flash of panic in his eyes. You should get going. Fang Chen was baffled. Why is he acting like a girl? It was just a touch, but his chest, it felt solid enough. Definitely a guy, then, just one of those pretty boys from the vast sea. He really couldn't figure the kid out. Outside the treasury, Muzi, you was waiting anxiously. What took you so long? The Demon Emperor is already waiting for you outside the palace. I ran into someone, Fang Chen replied. Muzi, you glanced at the treasury, looking confused. Besides the Emperor and Empress, only the Prince and Princess were allowed in there, no one else. Probably one of your North Sea princes, Fang Chen added. Given the expensive clothes and free access to the treasury, who else could it be? With that, he hurried toward the palace gates. Muzi, you stood there, completely lost. A prince, but the North Sea only had one prince, the Crown Prince. And he was currently bedridden. Where did a second prince come from? Outside, the Demon Emperor, who had been waiting for some time, immediately swept Fang Chen away in a torrent of water toward the horizon. A long while later, they arrived at a desolate wasteland, far from the North Sea Palace. The seabed here was covered in an endless sprawl of tangled seaweed. Hidden beneath the seaweed, the faint outlines of a vast ancient city ruin were visible. An ancient city, submerged beneath the sea. Or perhaps the North Sea itself was once an ancient continent. Fang Chen felt a ripple of shock. What kind of terrifying events must have transpired here? The demon sovereign stopped before a cleared section of the ruins. It was a structure resembling an imperial palace, now severely dilapidated. Its walls were encrusted with seaweed and various shells, marked by the ravages of time. In the palace's central plaza, a towering gate to a grand hall floated, suspended in midair. It was entirely engulfed in blue flames, exuding an aura of profound mystery. That was the entrance to the Soul Formation Realm ruins. The demon sovereign gestured toward the colossal gate. When it was first discovered, it was merely a formation inscribed on the ground. Once activated, it transformed into what you see now. Fang Chen gazed at the blue flames, feeling a subtle yet palpable sense of danger emanating from them. What would happen if someone tried to force their way through? The demon sovereign said nothing, instead producing a pale golden stone. Fang Chen recognized it with a gasp. Zhengjin Stone. Within the secret realm of the Nine Dynasties' ancient capital of the demonic race, an entire mural had once been scraped away. The reason? It contained traces of Zhengjin Stone powder. Even a small amount of this material, added during artifact refining, could render a weapon indestructible. Its unparalleled hardness was thus self-evident. The demon sovereign flicked a finger, sending the Zhengjin Stone soaring into the blue flames. Instantly, it ignited like kindling, burning to a pile of black ash in mere moments. The demon sovereign remarked, I'd wager even Soul Formation Realm cultivators would think twice before casually touching these flames. A sharp intake of breath. Fang Chen gasped, a chill running down his spine. These flames were far more terrifying than even Vice Pavilion Master Gu's purple blazes. Who would dare trespass so casually? The Demon Sovereign continued. When the formation was first activated, it ejected 18 flame imprints. Only those protected by one of these imprints within their bodies can pass through. Now, all 18 flame imprints have been distributed, with not a single one remaining. Even our North Sea demonic race can no longer enter. So, little friend Fang, this is your only chance to enter. Seek out as many useful resources as you can. Fang Chen cupped his fists. My sincere thanks, North Sea Demon Sovereign. He produced the blue flame, holding it carefully in his palm as he approached the fiery gate. He cautiously extended a fingernail towards it. As expected, protected by the blue flame, the fiery gate inflicted no harm upon him. With no further hesitation, Fang Chen stepped directly into the gate. The Demon Sovereign sat cross-legged nearby, awaiting Fang Chen's return. A short while later, his eyes snapped open. He suddenly struck the air before him, unleashing a powerful water cultivation method that forced a figure hidden within space into the open. With a broken right arm and a missing right eye, who else could it be but evil-eyed Venerable from 3 Purity Mountain? You? The Demon Sovereign's expression subtly shifted. Evil-eyed Venerable burst into laughter. I thought the Soul Formation Realm ruins required some secret technique from your North Sea royal family to open. Turns out, all one needs is a blue flame imprint. You made me come all this way for nothing, only to be rejected at the door. He was exceptionally thrilled, secretly congratulating himself for having stealthily followed the Demon Sovereign and Fang Chen here. Only now did he realize he could enter the Soul Formation Realm ruins anytime. A flicker of unease crossed the Demon Sovereign's mind. This spells trouble. If evil-eyed Venerable forces his way inside, will Fang Chen even stand a chance? Evil-eyed Venerable, the Demon Sovereign warned, the inside is crawling with venomous creatures. Think carefully before you enter. The Demon Sovereign warned, his face stern. Evil-eyed Venerable's eyes narrowed in surprise and suspicion. Venomous creatures. Just as he began to wonder, a subtle shift occurred within the fiery gate. To his surprise, several venomous insects scurried out of the gate of flames, seemingly driven by fear. Undaunted by the searing heat, they scuttled straight through the flaming portal. These creatures were like centipedes, their bodies an iridescent azure, with what looked like internal flames flickering beneath their exoskeletons. With a single glance, Venerable Evil Eyes instantly discerned their potent venom. Even he would face dire peril if he encountered a swarm of them. His expression flickered, uncertainty clouding his face, no longer daring to charge in heedlessly. The Demon Emperor let out a faint sigh of relief. The venomous insects had, inadvertently, shielded Fang Chen from immediate danger. As long as no disciples from the Horizon Pavilion, those capable of countering such venomous creatures, arrived, Fang Chen would be safest alone inside. But as fate would have it, his fears quickly materialized. The sea surface erupted into a tumultuous swell as a golden spirit boat sliced through the waves, rapidly approaching their location. On its deck stood an old man, accompanied by 2 youths, a boy and a girl, both around 18. The old man's cultivation had astonishingly reached the Nascent Soul realm, specifically the 2nd aperture stage. The boy and girl, however, had reached the peak of the 9th layer of the Golden Core realm. An aura of tribulation energy enveloped them, suggesting they had touched the Nascent Soul level in certain aspects, a state known as heretical Nascent Soul. The Demon Emperor's heart plummeted. The Horizon Pavilion has arrived. With Venerable Evil Eyes that made for 1 2nd aperture Nascent Soul, 1 1st aperture Nascent Soul, and 2 heretical Nascent Souls. What hope did Fang Chen have now? Venerable Evil Eyes' face lit up with delight as he recognized the newcomers. Venerable Seven Sounds. He immediately stepped forward to pay his respects. Venerable Seven Sounds had a good relationship with the Mount Sanking sect, and they had met on several occasions. They were, by all accounts, acquaintances. Venerable Seven Sounds, who had already noticed him, offered a faint, acknowledging nod. His gaze then shifted to the colossal gate, ablaze with blue flames, a flicker of profound hope lighting his eyes. This marked the 2nd time in his life he'd stumbled upon a Soul Formation Realm remnant. He wondered if this time he would find what he sought. Venerable Seven Sounds retrieved 3 fire seeds, handing 1 to each of the 2 disciples behind him. Stay close behind me. Do not allow yourselves to be harmed by these venomous creatures. The 2 disciples beamed with undisguised excitement. To enter a Soul Formation Realm remnant before even reaching the Nascent Soul realm, they would truly be unique among their peers. The North Sea Demon Emperor quickly stepped forward, offering a deferential bow. "Venerable Seven Sounds," he began, "weren't you expected to arrive in a few more days?" He knew that had Venerable Seven Sounds arrived early, he would surely have prevented Fang Chen from entering. Venerable Seven Sounds sighed, a hint of resignation in his voice. Ever since the heaven connecting Black Pillar manifested, strange phenomena have plagued every corner of the Tai Kang Great State. Not long ago, a mysterious ancient path to heaven even materialized. At the path's end, some claimed to have witnessed venerables who had perished a millennium ago. Others glimpsed an alchemy furnace taller than the heavens themselves, shimmering with multicolored peel clouds. And some even bore witness to timeless supreme arts, carved directly onto immortal corpses. The Tai Kang Great State has erupted into pandemonium. Sects across the land are dispatching their disciples, all eager to ascend the ancient path and uncover its secrets. I wish to bring my 2 disciples here before the ancient path opened, to seek out some fortuitous encounters for them, hoping they might gain an advantage on the path to heaven. The North Sea Demon Emperor listened, utterly captivated. What truly lies at the end of that ancient path to heaven? Unfortunately, as this ancient path belonged to the Tai Kang Great State, it was likely that cultivators from the 4 seas and the mainland would not be permitted to contend for its treasures. Pulling his thoughts back, the North Sea Demon Emperor addressed him Venerable Seven Sounds. "I have a young human friend who entered the Remnant not long ago. He is only in the Golden Core realm, and I humbly ask that Venerable Seven Sounds look after him should you cross paths." At the first half of the request, Venerable Seven Sounds' brow furrowed, his gaze turning sharp. Upon learning he was merely in the Golden Core realm, his tension eased. He gave a perfunctory nod. "We shall see if our paths cross," he replied dismissively. He already had his hands full with his own 2 disciples. He certainly wasn't going to look after a stranger. Venerable Evil Eyes quickly stepped forward. "Venerable Seven Sounds," he appealed, "the venomous creatures here are exceedingly dangerous. Might I follow in your wake? Rest assured, any treasures I find will be offered to you for first refusal. If you're done with it, I'll take it." Master Seven Tones frowned. He knew it was a lie, but given their history together, he couldn't just brush him off. "Then just keep up," he said, his face a stony mask. With that, he and his 2 disciples gripped their seals and plunged into the door of flames. Master Evil Eye gave a wicked chuckle and hurried in right behind them. The Demon Emperor, however, was consumed by worry. "Take care of yourself, Fang Chen." Inside the ruins, Fang Chen crushed 3 blue centipedes under his boot. Their splattered blue blood hissed against the ground, burning black scorch marks into the stone. Staring at the floor completely carpeted in venomous bugs, Fang Chen frowned. There were simply way too many of them. Even though the swarm actively tried to avoid him, their sheer numbers meant a few were constantly being pushed right up to his feet. He took in his surroundings. Stepping through the flaming door had dropped him at the edge of a massive plaza paved with bluestone bricks. The entire plaza was a writhing sea of blue. It moved like a living tide, a sight enough to make anyone's skin crawl. "There's probably nothing left out here in the open, right?" Fang Chen reasoned. "Everyone has to pass through here to enter the ruins. If there were any actual treasures, the Northern Sea Demon clan's massive army would have swept them up by now. Besides, whoever built these ruins wouldn't just leave their most prized possessions sitting out in a public courtyard." He stepped forward, pushing deeper into the plaza. Suddenly, something strange caught the corner of his eye. A short distance away, there was a patch of ground completely untouched by the insect tide. The venomous bugs seemed terrified of that specific spot, forming a perfect 10-foot wide circle of empty space around it. Is there something buried under there? Intrigued, Fang Chen hurried over. On the surface, the bluestone bricks here looked identical to the rest of the plaza, which explained why no one else had noticed anything wrong. If the swarm hadn't been so terrified to approach, Fang Chen would have walked right past it, too. Carefully, he pried the stone brick loose. Nestled in the dirt beneath it was a small, pitch-black box. What is this thing? It's radiating enough energy to keep a whole horde of venomous bugs at bay. He picked it up and tried to twist the lid off. But no matter how much strength he poured into it, the lid wouldn't budge an inch. Weird, it's not a magical artifact, yet I still can't force it open. Fang Chen muttered to himself. He was just about to try again, when he heard the roaring shift of the flame door behind him. His expression darkened. Someone's coming. Master Evil Eye, he quickly tossed the mysterious black box into his heavenly lightning stone and hurriedly slammed the stone brick back into place. The second he covered his tracks, a group of figures burst into the plaza. Fang Chen shot them a wary glance. Alongside Master Evil Eye stood an older man and two youths. These must be the experts from the World's End Pavilion the Demon Emperor mentioned. They spotted him instantly. Master Evil Eye's gaze flared with murderous intent. Didn't expect me to catch up so fast, did you, brat? The words had barely left his mouth before a lethal surge of nascent soul realm power condensed in his palm. Fang Chen's eyes narrowed. Without a second thought, he stomped the ground, launching a massive wave of venomous bugs into the air. With a violent sweep of his sleeves, he sent the deadly swarm flying straight at them. Master Evil Eye's face paled. He immediately scurried behind Master Seven Tones. Master Seven Tones narrowed his eyes. Pressing 2 fingers to his lips, he chanted a bizarre incantation. Strange sonic ripples began to radiate outward. The moment the airborne swarm breached a 10-foot radius around him, the sonic waves obliterated them into a fine mist. The horde swarming across the floor reacted as if they'd been burned, scattering frantically and refusing to inch a step closer. His first attack neutralized, Fang Chen instantly lunged forward. His aggressive advance sent the bugs on the floor into an absolute panic. The writhing tide rippled backward, piling over itself and surging directly toward Master Seven Tones. A few stragglers reached their feet, terrifying the 2 disciples into frantically deploying their cultivation methods to slaughter them. Master Seven Tones shot Master Evil Eye a withering side glance. "Hold on, young friend," he called out. "Your feud with Master Evil Eye has nothing to do with the World's End Pavilion. There is no need to involve innocent bystanders." As he spoke, his hands formed a rapid seal, unleashing an even more profound sonic wave. The approaching swarm cowered even harder, scrambling over each other to retreat. Fang Chen was secretly alarmed. What a powerful countermeasure! It's just as effective as the feather. He glared past him at Master Evil Eye. If it's got nothing to do with you, then why are you shielding him? He certainly hadn't seen the old man try to step in when Evil Eye threw the first punch. It was finally Fang Chen's turn to step up. Not only was he shielding Master Evil Eye, but he kept insisting that their grudge had nothing to do with the current situation. Master Seven Tones spoke up. "I wasn't aware of your history when I agreed to bring him along and protect him from the toxic swarm. How about this? Both of you do me a favor and keep the peace while we're inside these ruins. What do you say?" He offered Fang Chen a warm, friendly smile, but when he turned to Master Evil Eye, his gaze shifted into a cold, sharp warning. He had been kind enough to bring the man in, yet the fool was already causing trouble for him and his disciples. If Master Evil Eye even breathed a word of protest, Seven Tones was ready to toss him straight to the bugs. Master Evil Eye lowered his head. "I was reckless, Senior." He never could have predicted that the toxic swarm wouldn't be a death trap for Fang Chen. Instead, the insects had become the boy's personal bodyguards. He'd nearly paid the price for that mistake. Fang Chen thought it over before replying. "If that is your wish, Senior, I will honor it." Why not? Having someone keep Master Evil Eye in check meant he could hunt for treasure in peace. Seeing that Fang Chen was playing along, Master Seven Tones offered a thin smile, his old eyes glinting with sharp intensity. He glanced around, acting casual, as he asked, "Since you were the first one in, did you happen to find any treasures?" Fang Chen caught a glimpse of the area where the small black box had been hidden. Now that the box was gone, the swarm had reclaimed the space, leaving no trace that anything was out of the ordinary. He put on a forced, bitter smile. "To be honest, Senior, you arrived right after I stepped inside. I haven't even had a chance to start looking yet." Hearing this, Seven Tones looked at Master Evil Eye, who gave a slight nod. The boy did just get here. With that confirmation, Master Seven Tones finally relaxed. In such a short window of time, Fang Chen couldn't have taken anything unless it was sitting right in plain sight. Then again, this plaza was wide open and the only way in or out. If there had been any obvious treasure, the North Sea Demon Tribe would have cleaned it out during their first pass. They weren't exactly blind. "Heh, don't be in such a rush, young friend. In my experience, you rarely find any real treasures in a main thoroughfare like this." Fang Chen cupped his hands. "Thank you for the advice, Senior." He laughed to himself. The creator of these ruins had counted on people thinking exactly like that, which is why they buried that mysterious black box right under their noses. He was becoming more and more curious about what was inside that box. Time is wasting. This fire sigil only lasts a day. We need to push deeper into the ruins immediately. "Young friend, why don't you join us? When I ran into the North Sea Demon Emperor, he asked me to look after you," Master Seven Tones said, his tone dripping with fake kindness. Fang Chen saw right through him. This wasn't protection. It was surveillance. The old man was worried Fang Chen would stumble onto a massive treasure alone, so he wanted to keep him on a short leash. Fang Chen acted thrilled, answering without a second thought. Then I'll be in your capable hands, Senior. Master Evil Eye let out a quiet scoff. What a moron, he thought. He's being watched like a hawk, and he's actually happy about it. The teenage boy and girl with 7 tones shook their heads slightly. The girl curled her lip in disdain. What a total idiot. He can't even see through my master's obvious play. So easy to manipulate. Little did they know, Fang Chen already had a map of these soul formation ruins. This place was a labyrinth of infinite branches they would be forced to split up soon enough. 7 tones thinking he could keep Fang Chen close was nothing more than a pipe dream. Convinced Fang Chen was as naive as he looked, 7 tones' smile grew even warmer. Don't worry, if we find anything, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Let's move. The group crossed the plaza and reached the far end. The plaza narrowed into a long, dimly glowing passage that led into the heart of the ruins. Countless branches veered off the main road, each splitting into a web of smaller paths. At first glance, it looked like a massive system of tree roots, crisscrossing in a dizzying, endless maze. There had to be at least 100 paths. The sight left the group in stunned silence. The girl blinked, dazed. Master, which path do we even start with? Even Master 7 Tones was at a loss. He hadn't expected this many options. Searching every path would take more than 10 days, and they didn't have that kind of time. It looks like we'll have to split up, 7 Tones said, looking at the others. It's the only way to cover enough ground before time runs out. Everyone frowned. They could see toxic insects scuttling along the glowing paths. There weren't as many as in the plaza, but a single bite would still be devastating. Since only 7 Tones and Fang Chen could repel the bugs, they could only split into 2 groups. 7 Tones' eyes flickered. Young friend, it seems you and I must go our separate ways after all. Fang Chen smirked internally. Took you long enough, old man. He feigned a look of distress. But senior, you just said you'd look after me. Now you're leaving me on my own. Master 7 Tones looked slightly embarrassed. I didn't expect the layout to be this complex. Tell you what, I'll have my disciple, Y. Kieran, go with you. He's more than capable of keeping you safe. You just can't stop spying on me, can you? Fang Chen thought, but this was exactly what he had anticipated. 7 Tones only had his disciples, or Master Evil Eye, to use as spies, but he wouldn't dare let a Nascent Soul expert like Evil Eye out of his sight. He was going to keep him close no matter what. That left his 2 disciples as the only candidates. Y. Kieran, the more stoic of the 2, spoke up. Master, let my junior sister go with him instead. My ability to sense energy signatures will be more useful in helping you find the artifacts. 7 Tones hesitated. He knew Y. Kieran was better suited for his own team. However, he worried that his female disciple lacked Y. Kieran's experience. If they found treasure, she might be easily tricked by someone as sharp as Fang Chen. But seeing how innocent Fang Chen looked, he began to wonder if he was just overthinking things. He spoke up immediately. Fine, Yu Yuan, you're on bodyguard duty. Look after young Fang. Yu Yuan shot Y. Kieran a resentful glare. It was obviously much easier to find loot by sticking with their master. Who the hell wanted to babysit this clueless kid? But since her master had given the order, she had no choice but to suck it up. She marched over to Fang Chen with a pout, her voice dripping with reluctance. The name's Yu Yuan. I guess I'm your protection for now. Fang Chen gave a polite bow. I'm Fang Chen. I feel a lot safer knowing a senior sister is looking out for me. Yu Yuan rolled her eyes internally. What a little idiot. Can't he tell I'm just here to keep tabs on him? Once we find some treasure, I'll play him like a fiddle, and he'll probably thank me for it. With the arrangements settled, the 7 Sounds sage, Evil Eye, and Y. Kieran headed down the path to the left. Once they were out of sight, Fang Chen discreetly pulled out the map given to him by the boy from the North Sea, cross, referencing the markings to memorize the hidden side paths. Let's move, junior brother Fang. Yu Yuan almost let the insult slip. She stole a glance at him, but he seemed completely oblivious. She let out a quiet sigh of relief, calling him a fool one more time in her head. Fang Chen tucked the map away. Oh, right, he said. Then let's take that path over there. Yu Yuan frowned at the remote, unremarkable trail he was pointing to. Why, that one. Trust me, we should take this one. It's a guaranteed win. She pointed toward a different fork in the road right in front of them. Fang Chen shook his head slightly. No, I want to go down that one. Yu Yuan's brows shot up in annoyance. This little brat is actually talking back to me. Her eyes flickered with a sudden idea. Fine, let's settle this with rock, paper, scissors. Winner picks the route. Sure, Fang Chen agreed without a second thought. Yu Yuan smirked to herself. Did this little idiot really think he could beat her in a game of luck? There was a reason the Seven Sound Sage had only brought Wai Kieran and her along. Wai Kieran was born with the ability to sense various energies, making him a human treasure radar. As for her, she was a master of divination, able to sense good and bad omens before they even happened. In the entire sky and pavilion, no one was crazy enough to challenge her to a game of chance. She was about to give this kid a reality check that would make him question his own existence. Fang Chen hid one hand behind his back, quietly activating the heart, seeking mirror to catch a glimpse of her intentions. Ready when you are. Yu Yuan grinned. All right, rock, paper. Fang Chen held out his hand, looking a bit bashful. Looks like I won, senior sister. Yu Yuan froze. Something was wrong. Her intuition had screamed victory right until the moment they threw. How did it flip to defeat at the very last second? So, we're going my way, right? Fang Chen asked. Hold on, Yu Yuan blurted out. Best 2 out of 3. Fang Chen gave a resigned sigh. If you say so. Rock. Yu Yuan stared at her own fist, her mind going blank. Wait, best 3 out of 5. Scissors. Yu Yuan looked at Fang Chen's hand, 2 fingers extended in a scissors gesture, and went numb. She had actually lost 3 rounds in a row. Best of 7, no, 9, best 8 out of 15. Yu Yuan stumbled back, her eyes glazed over. She had just lost 8 straight rounds to a total fool. Was her gift for sensing omens a total lie? In that single moment, she began to have a serious existential crisis about the last 18 years of her life. Zhuo Yin thought he was the lead in a harem comedy, but Fang Chen reminded him he's just a footnote in a horror script. Bro literally gaslit a man into self, destructing his own skull just to keep a political seat warm. That's not just cold, that's absolute cinema. Fang Chen is out here playing 4D chess with human souls, promising to raise a rival's son as his own just to trigger a mental breakdown. It's peak efficiency, but it's also terrifyingly sociopathic. So, let's settle this in the karma court. If the hero has to become a psychological monster to protect the peace, is he still worth rooting for? Or are we just cheering for a more competent villain? Does a clean ending justify the most twisted mental gymnastics in history?